I said it before when they announced that Joe Biden was the projected winner of the election, that I didn't think Donald Trump would be able to pull off some victory. But it's been a roller coaster ride. It's gone back and forth, and it seems like every so often something happens that makes it feel like, whoa, Trump could actually do this, right? And then something happens where it's like, okay, now he's finally done, right? But for some reason, every time something bad happens, something good happens. And although I still think the odds of Trump winning are astronomical, it's, I don't know, exponentially more astronomical because we've got really bad news for Trump. You see, the PA state legislature was saying that they wanted a joint resolution in order to appoint their own electors or to take back the power from the Secretary of State to appoint electors. But they're not coming back in a session. So that's it. Unless the governor calls for an emergency session, I guess, which he's not going to do because the governor of Pennsylvania is a Democrat. I don't see how Trump wins Pennsylvania. Listen, I'm not a psychic. I'm not going to make any wild guesses. I'm not going to take any bets. I don't know what could happen now, but I'm telling you this right here is devastating news for Trump. Absolutely devastating. And it comes in the back end of everything we've seen so far. So here it is. Pennsylvania House GOP leaders. Lawmakers won't meet again this year. Okay. So maybe January 1st, something happens. And before the 6th, before they count the votes, they dispute it. I really doubt it. The Washington Examiner reports the Republican leaders of the Pennsylvania House of Representatives announced late Saturday that they will not be returning to session this year, a move that would appear to preclude any possibility of lawmakers interceding in the 2020 election. House Speaker Brian Cutler and Majority Leader Carrie Bellinghoff Belafonte released a joint statement saying that they would not be calling their chamber to Harrisburg on Monday, the final possible day for the 2019-20 session of the legislature to meet. Quote, "We are physically unable to consider any new legislation before the end of the session," they wrote in a statement. "A simple resolution takes 3 legislative days for consideration, and a concurrent resolution takes 5 legislative days to move through both chambers, which means we do not have the time needed to address any new resolutions in our current session." Article 3, Section 4 of the state constitution requires that bills be considered on 3 different days by each chamber. A simple resolution originates from a single chamber, while a concurrent resolution must move through both. After Monday, there can be no further meetings of the legislature this year. Article 2, Section 4 decrees the 2021 to 22 session of the legislature will begin on the first Tuesday of January, which will be on January 5th, 2021, which means even if they convene a new session, they will not have enough time to actually pass a joint resolution to do anything. In order for them to actually appoint electors, the state legislature needs to pass a resolution, probably a joint resolution, and that's it. But you can't just have 26 people in the Pennsylvania House and 8 senators in the Pennsylvania Senate out of 50 and 203 for the House say they would like it to happen. You need the document passed in the chamber at least. So I don't know what else Trump can pull off, but I'll tell you, there's always something new, isn't it? Maybe it'll just come down to some Republicans objecting on the 6th. I really doubt it. I've been saying it time and time again, and I know people don't want to hear it. It seems like Joe Biden is going to be president on January 20th. I'm not entirely sure what could happen. Maybe Trump just, I don't know, stages a military coup or something ridiculous. But like I said, astronomical. You want to get mad at me? You want to tell me I'm wrong? You want to tell me Trump's going to pull something off? By all means, you're allowed to believe it. You're allowed to say it. Please tell me in the comments below how, if they're not coming into session, how they will end up giving Trump the electoral votes. The Supreme Court of PA shut everything down. Now just wait. Just because I have said all this doesn't mean it's over. Like I've said, okay, just bear with me. There's a lot still going on. This may mean Trump can't win by getting the state legislatures to give him these votes. He could still block Pennsylvania. Actually, it might come from outside of the Trump campaign. Now, Trump is saying he wants to go to SCOTUS. Trump supporters are saying Clarence Thomas, Brett Kavanaugh, Amy Coney Barrett, and Alito, they are going to come to the rescue. All right, they're going to come to the rescue, and they're going to give Donald Trump the victory he needs. Maybe, but it would seem like, according to many high-profile Trump supporters, or you know what, I'm not even going to do that. I'm going to say this. Will Chamberlain, he's a lawyer and an ardent Trump supporter, and he said, based on Trump campaign's appeal to the Third Circuit getting rejected. And it was rejected on the narrowest of terms. It's likely the Supreme Court will not take up the Trump campaign's case, and that's it. They're not getting to the Supreme Court. They could, they might. But there's something else that might happen. Something else that could give Trump Pennsylvania. But listen, man, I've said this over and over again. I'll cover what Trump is doing. I'll talk about what he's doing. I'll mention that some things are good or bad for Trump, but I have said it in every single video, and I have been downvoted and mocked by many hardcore Trump supporters for saying it. Joe Biden, extremely likely to be the president. Astronomical odds for Trump to pull this off. Like I said, he may be on track, but it is jumping over all these obstacles. Okay, hear me out. Pennsylvania justices accused of playing politics after dismissing challenge over absentee ballots. Here's what happened. A bunch of Republicans filed a lawsuit saying that mail-in voting is unconstitutional. A judge agreed, but didn't rule on the merits. They issued a preliminary injunction blocking further certification of the state, including appointing electors. Huge news. This was appealed to the Pennsylvania Supreme Court, who rejected it, dismissed it on the narrowest of grounds, saying, y'all were too late. Now, this has led to outrage among Trump supporters because they said if the Republicans filed this suit before the election, there would be no, quote, injury in fact, meaning, what are you suing for? Nothing bad happened to you. So after the election, in Sean Parnell's instance, he didn't even know about it. They filed the suit and the judges say, Supreme Court, yeah, too late. Why did they pass no excuse mail-in voting in violating their own constitution? At least it sounds like that's what the original lawyer was saying a year ago, October, way before COVID. Well, some people have said it's simply because mail-in voting is so popular and many Republican states have it. And I'm like, yeah, but isn't it kind of funny? Like the excuse for all of the mail-in voting was COVID. This one state just happened to do it. Okay, fine. Look, these things can happen. It was rejected by the Supreme Court, but this could potentially go. It was rejected by the Supreme Court of Pennsylvania. But this could theoretically, or I mean, very likely, make its way to the federal courts. The argument is that it's unconstitutional. It seems to make sense because the Pennsylvania Constitution says, here's how absentee ballots work. And so what they did, and I mentioned this before, you may have heard it, but bear with me. When they were passing this law in Pennsylvania, and the Republicans did this, to get no excuse mail-in voting, they actually started the constitutional amendment process halfway through. They stopped and then just changed the wording. It's mail voting, not absentee, which it's basically the same thing. It's functionally the same thing. That shows they knew they were violating the Constitution. They knew they had to change it. But in order to get mail-in voting before this election, they needed to bypass the Constitution. This could potentially go to the Supreme Court of the United States. And then I think they'd win if it does. I mean, they're going to rule on the merits. They're going to say there's injury in fact. They're going to say Pennsylvania's election is voided. That could theoretically happen, at least as it pertains to the presidential election. You know what, man? I just do not think anything like that is going to happen. I mean, maybe, but I tell you, when I heard the Republicans were saying they were going to appoint their own electors or they wanted to take that power back, I was like, this is big. It's good news for Trump. I mean, this could happen. Well, now we don't have the session. I'm sorry, man. I'm not here to pretend like Trump is going to win. He could. It's a lottery ticket. I mean, it's probably more. Well, yeah, probably a lottery ticket's chance. Trump could probably. Okay. I think Trump, of all people, is the guy to do it. If you put up Hillary Clinton, I'd laugh. Like, never going to happen. You put up John Kerry or Biden, never going to happen. But Biden was the favorite. And even then, I still doubted him, but said, don't underestimate him. He could probably win. Well, here we go. Often in life, you will deal with things you don't want to deal with. But it just means you need to prepare for the worst and hope for the best. I expect Donald Trump to continue fighting in every capacity, and I believe he should. Because I got the next segment coming up, I'm going to talk to you about how the race is far from over. And I'm not talking about the presidential race, the election. Things are still happening. They haven't even called many House races. Now they're flipping back and forth. Judges are intervening. Something could still happen here. There could theoretically be an emergency session. And I'm telling you, man, it's crazy times. Okay, the craziest things have been happening. And I wouldn't be surprised if something truly crazy emerges and then Trump pulls out some kind of triple Hail Mary victory. But you need more than this. You know, Okay, so I'll put it this way. It may be bad news. I can't see a path forward for Trump without Pennsylvania. There's the Sean Parnell lawsuit. If it goes to the Supreme Court, it could potentially void Pennsylvania. That's big. And I think the courts would agree because a judge already did. They just didn't get to the point where they could rule on the merits because the Supreme Court of Pennsylvania rejected it on narrow terms. Too late. They did not rule on the merits, which is, it's kind of gross, to be completely honest. If Joe Biden does get inaugurated, and we know this about Pennsylvania's election, I mean, people are going to revolt. It's going to be nuts. Maybe you'll end up seeing Antifa and Trump supporters marching side by side, smashing things because they all hate Joe Biden. I doubt it. I don't know. Look, believe what you want to believe. Tell me I'm wrong by all means. I'm just some guy with an opinion. Comment below. Let me know what you think. But I'm feeling like we're getting close to the end of the line, to be honest. That was huge. I got a couple more segments coming up. Stick around and I will see you all shortly.